And we're back in Inside the Ropes, and I'm very, very happy to have this guest on the show. He has been one of the WWE's most colourful characters in the last couple of years. He's also starred in a WWE Studios movie, No One Lives. He's also been Snoop Dogg's bodyguard, which is not something that everyone can say that they've done. It is the one and only Brodus Clay. Brodus, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess it must be a bit of a whirlwind for you right now because we're a few weeks removed from obviously the release, but for anyone who follows you on Twitter or kind of, has their finger on the pulse of kind of pro wrestling, you are incredibly busy and you seem to be bouncing back just great. How are you feeling now? How's everything going?
Things are good. Busier than ever. That's the funny thing is because I was one of the things that I was frustrated with was not being used towards the end of my time at WWE, and now when I'm happiest when I'm able to contribute. So very very excited right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess kind of, we want to talk to you about a lot of cool things that you've done, but to kind of talk about the elephant in the room, how did you find out about the release? Were you expecting it? And are you at peace with it now that we're a few weeks down the line, and like you say, you're busy again, you're getting to contribute to things?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of the writing was on the wall. Wasn't really being used at TVs and stuff, so you kind of and my gut feeling was that I would rather be released than just sitting in the bullpen, So it was just one of those things where not really, getting chosen the opportunity to entertain, and creative just not having anything for you. So it was just it was time to move on in my mind. So when the call came, I was anticipating it and had prepared myself, months in advance. It's not just of being frustrated or whatever. So it was actually kind of like. You're always scared to take the lead because you never know what's on the other side when you jump, but it was definitely time.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because Shane Helms put a message out on Facebook. I think it was the day after the releases, and he said something along the lines of, for all the guys and girls that this has happened to, there is life after WWE, and there's so much more to do. So, but it must be quite scary, like you say, to take that leap and kind of into the unknown. But as we said, you're really busy, so it seems to be going well so far. I wanted to ask you about your start in wrestling because you've told a funny story involving Tommy Dreamer when the WWE came to LA for WrestleMania a few years ago. It's a great story. I was wondering if you could just kind of tell our listeners about how that interaction was a good thing for you.
Yeah, they came at the time. I worked at a place called Saddle Ranch, and I was one of the head bouncers there. And they came into town with Tommy Dreamer, Simon Dean at the time, Carlito, a few other people, Chris Masters, I believe, and they were with Tommy Dreamer. And I had always been a big wrestling fan. So when I saw them waiting in line, I was like, oh, these guys aren't waiting in line. So I brought them in the club, and in the summertime, Saddle Ranch holds like around 1,300 people. It's a really big, like Western chop house kind of a place, and there's dancing everywhere. So I put them up on a stage where they could see everything, and they were just having drinks and stuff. And a fight had broken out. It wasn't a very good. The two guys that were fighting weren't very good fighters, and so they were fighting over a girl who had already walked away from both of them. So, and it looked like they were friends, and they just had too much to drink or whatever. So I walked over to them, and I just I was in a good mood because Tommy Dreamer and the wrestlers were there, and I was trying to show them a good time and stuff. And so I was going to give the guys a break. Like, hey fellas, no harm, no foul. Listen, not going to kick you out. Just just break it out, go your own ways, and we'll be cool about it. And one of them hit me in the arm, and it was much like seeing like an old woman swat a fly. It was a very horrible punch. Just in retrospect, I think he wished he would have took it back, but because when he hit me, there was a few girls were like, oh, he hit him. So he kind of had a reputation to protect, and I kind of was looked at him like, why? And then clunked their two little heads together, and they both hit the ground, and then I picked them up by their belts and suitcased them out, which is when you carry somebody by the belt, they just kind of hang there, so they look like, you know, a human suitcase. And so I suitcased out, and Tommy Dreamer jumped down, and he was like, let me help you. And I was like, no, I'm good. And then he ended up working the rest of the night with me, and he was breaking up fights and carrying guys out, and he actually carried a guy who was yelling at him about me because I had thrown him out, and Tommy scooped him up and carried him like a baby to his car. And he was just, and he was like, hey, you need to do what you do here on TV. And I was like, yeah, you guys ain't hiring. And he's like, well, actually, I'm talent relations for the WWE. And I said, well, I'm talent relations for Saddle Ranch. So, you know, you always have a job here if you ever need it. And like we laughed about it, and we exchanged numbers, parted as friends, and I really didn't think much was going to come of it, you know. Just hung out and broke up fights with Tommy Dreamer, and that was pretty cool for me. And then a few months later, he gave me a call, and he said that they wanted to bring me in for a tryout. And I was like, hey, shut up. And he was like, no, they're going to give you a shot. Well, I got really excited. I asked him, like, do I quit my job right now? And he's like, no, not yet, you know. So then I went down to Deep South. That's where I met Bill DeMont and trained under him. And, you know, he put in the words that he saw something in me. And John Laurinaitis gave me the job.
And you would end up being a contestant on the fourth season of NXT when it was back in the days when it was the contestant show and it was challenges and stuff. How was that opportunity presented to you, and what are your memories of sort of being a part of that show?
We found out we had been selected. Myself, Johnny Curtis, as you know, is Fandango. Derek Bateman at the time, and now is EC3 and TNA, and a couple of Byron Saxton, and you know Connor O'Brien. We just kind of found out, pulled an office and told them we were going to be on NXT season 4, and the best thing I realized about it was like that at least we had a complete creative freedom to do what we wanted on the show. We took risks. I feuded, you know, with Johnny Curtis and Bateman the entire time. Like we got together and I said, I'm just gonna go after you guys, and they were like, that's fine, go ahead, bring it on. So, and they never knew what we were gonna do, and it got to the point where like people would be like, hey, you know, what's going on? And we didn't know half the time, but for me, I think it was great in terms of like stepping out as a monster heel, but a different one because I was able to intimidate on the microphone as well. So it was one of my favorite times since I've been the NXT season 4. That group of guys, there'll always be a bond there, you know.
Back in 2011, before you ended up coming back as the Funkosaurus, were you sort of pitching a lot of ideas to the creative team about you coming back, or was it a case of they sort of would come to you with what they had? How did that kind of work before the Funkosaurus thing was decided?
When I left, I didn't reach out to them, and they didn't reach out to me. The only reason why I was back is because I was with Snoop. We came from on a tour in Australia, and he was booked on Monday Night Raw in Jacksonville, and I couldn't switch out. So honestly, I didn't want to go back just because I had been fired, and you know, it's kind of embarrassing to go back to your old job. You know, it was going to be awkward, and I didn't really want to deal with it. And I still hadn't, you know, still didn't like the way that things had worked out. Never making main roster and stuff. So, but we couldn't switch out, so I had to go. But it turned out being the best thing because John Laurinaitis offered me my job back, and then went from, and then went back and think about it, and had a conversation with Snoop, and he was just like, you can always bodyguard, you can't always wrestle, go wrestle. And then out of tribute, that's where I came up with the name Brodus Clay. And
then obviously at the beginning of 2012, you came back onto TV as the Funkosaurus with the Funkosaurus gimmick, and I remember myself watching it and kind of my jaw dropped because I just didn't expect it. But you really seem to embrace that straight away. Who came up with that, and what was your initial reaction to kind of going in that different direction? That because I remember when the match was about to start and you came out, I think you said something along the lines of, "I bet you guys didn't expect that."
You could have dropped a pin in that arena and you would have heard it. We shocked them. I was a little nervous about the character change, but looking at the scale of the land at the time, Kane was getting ready to come back. Big Show was a monster, a heel again. Mark Henry was, a heel again. So the lay of the land was I would have been the fourth monster. And I don't think the fourth monster does very well. So there was an opportunity to be something different. And that character was kind of a combination of me and my weight trainer coming up with the name Funkosaurus and getting with the American Dream Dusty Rhodes. And, he had in practice and stuff, I would do a lot of impressions and stuff. And I've always done like fiery babyface stuff, like messing around. I crack a lot of jokes in the back. So, the biggest challenge was the dancing stuff because I was just completely out of my comfort zone. But, Triple H and Mr. McMahon, they saw it in me, so they added the dancing to it. That was the part that I was really, really concerned with. But ended up dancing bad, seemed to be okay. So. And it just kind of came together. But and then Naomi was a tremendous influence with the dancing and style points and things like that. Like she was just phenomenal and just all around great person to work with. And
at WrestleMania 28, you did the dancing with the Bridge Club at that show, and. It's I always remember the guy in the crowd who, when you said pick up your phone and call your mum, this guy started phoning his mum or something in the crowd.
Oh, and then didn't realize why the hell am I calling my mom? Yeah, it was great. Like he just did it. He didn't want to do it. He just did it. And the Bridge Club to this day, I don't even know what the hell a Bridge Club is. I just felt that and just said it. I'm assuming it's a card group. But it was just probably the best promo of my career. And it, with the magnitude of the match that was coming before it, it was a great opportunity to be, in the semi-main spot at WrestleMania. It was truly a great moment.
And I also wanted to ask you, because you were around when Raw went 3 hours in 2012. And I just kind of wondered, from your perspective as a guy in the locker room, how did that change for you? Was that a positive change because there was more time for more people to get on the show? What was the reaction back where you guys were to Raw going 3 hours rather than 2?
A couple things, like it was. Obviously there's opportunity for more time, so that's always a good thing. And then you're kind of worried about a 3-hour program. Just if 3 hours too long, are people going to watch for 2 hours and turn off, or they're going to miss the first. So, there was some of those, like, how is viewership's going to handle, 3 hours, but looks like it worked out pretty well, because, that's the current format. So, but there was definitely more time for everybody.
Last year, when there was at WrestleMania 29, when you guys were supposed to have the match and it unfortunately got cut, it was part of, I think it was part of like the premiere episode of Total Divas, like the first show. How, in terms of that, obviously you'd been at WrestleMania the year before, doing the dancing, but that must have been a big blow for you because it was supposed to be your first WrestleMania in the ring, having a match, to get that kind of taken away from you so close to the time you're supposed to go out.
And looking how it ended, with this year's, WrestleMania stuff, yeah, that's always going to be one of those heartbreaking moments that, there was, they did everything they could for us in terms of trying to get us time. It just wasn't able to happen. And it's just something that you'll always be, you just can't get it back. I mean, I can't put it in. It's our Super Bowl. It's our World Cup. You know, it's the pinnacle of a year's work. Your friends and family. You know, it's the one time you're in town for a whole week, and you fly in your family and your friends, and you know, you do all the radio shows, you get all the hype behind it, you buy all the costumes, you know, you're prepared, and then it doesn't happen. It's just, I think that's when the Funkosaurus character just became angry and bitter, and it just kind of went from there, where I walked away from, you know, Sweet Tea and the girls. Just never really got over it.
And it kind of seemed like when you did the angle eventually, you did kind of walk out on Sweet Tea and the Funkadactyls, that it was going to maybe have a return to you being a monster again. Was that the plan? Was that something that was in the works, or was that just a way to kind of?
That was in my mind. I don't know. You know, and I think that was, you know, the plan, but it just didn't work out. You know, I had the thing on the, you know, Miz TV, and that was pretty good